Yeah. Hey, how you doing? It is hot. Whew, just got a shower. This episode of the Jefe Files is going to be on the evolution of sex. As a matter of fact, I think I'm a little overdressed. So, ladies, get ready for the whole damn show. Sexy. Now, I've been trying to figure out why has sex changed so dramatically over the last few years, and we're going to dive into it. We're going to see the history, what altered, how sex is performed. Does the porn industry have they been a huge influence on how people make love with one another? So we're going to go through. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot of tabs up. So I'll try to blitz through them, not try to keep it too long, you know? So let's get into this. We got sapiens.org. Sexual evolution pleasure. When did sex become fun? I thought it was always fun. Was this like a business transaction? I mean, and even in a business transaction, it's still fun, at least for one of the parties. Sexual reproduction has been around for 2 billion years, but when did sex for pleasure arise? And how much did penises have to do with it? It's written by Holly Dunsworth on September 23rd of 2016. She said there are multiple answers to the questions of where we came from. Early hominins, monkeys, no. Primordial goo or the Big Bang, to name a few. Get to the point. Today's answers, though, has probably just a split second ago popped into many readers' minds. Today's answer is sexual intercourse, aka bleeping. Who is this for? Is this for adults or children? So let's go back to the beginning, hundreds of millions of years before we invented euphemisms and censorship, and let's ask, how in the evolutionary world did sex begin? They show. I might just take a picture. Screenshot this or so. This thing called stinkhorn fungi is apparently a organism that sexually reproduce. Even fungi reproduce sexually. Listen, hold up. Before we go, I didn't come here to find out about algae and plants. I came to find out about people. So if you're not talking about people, please, let's get to it. I'm just skimming through it. Algae do it, plants do it, insects do it, fungi do it. Much of this sex involves releasing sperm into the wind or the water. Into the wind. Hope they'll be releasing it into the wind when I'm walking by. Releasing sperm into the wind or the water so they can be carried to the nearby eggs, as in mollusks, relying on a different species to carry male gametes to female ones. Many flowers will maneuver in two bodies so that the openings to the internal reproductive organs are close enough together for fluid exchange. We're talking about animals and birds. Where are people? She really went deep in this because she went back to the insects doing it. Like, she went back, way back. I don't like that. We can track vertebrate internal fertilization back into the deep time thanks to some rock forms. Okay. I'm not feeling what I'm saying so far. Sorry, people. Just bear with me. These mothers, and they're not. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I think I'm gonna just. I don't like this one. I don't like this one. Okay, hold up. Might be getting somewhere. Is this baby making as we know it? Hold up. Excuse me. Let me go up a little bit more. I think I'm starting to get some sex. The organ that Long's team found on INCISOSCUTUM and Schizocutum is a proto-penis, in part because unlike the penises we are accustomed to, the proto one faces backwards, away from the head of the male fish. We're still talking about animals. This backward proto penis begged the paleontologist to imagine what acrobatics were required to take care of business. Long describes an inverted 69 position with the female on her back on the soft bed floor, whilst the male pushed the slightly erected clapser backwards into her cloacal opening. Hey, yo, they're okay. I'm good with this. Whoever this lady was, Sapiens, when did sex become fun? Apparently never. Because nothing that she said made me feel any good. It gave me any information to give y'all. So we're going to just drop that one. See you later. And a lot of these keep showing me sexual reproduction. Now I'm opening and I'm looking at the tabs. They're showing me animals. I don't care about the animals. No offense. Okay. Get that out of here. Because that's just as stupid as the last one. Alright. Can you get off my screen, please, so I can get back to what I was doing? Alrighty then. Thank you. This one. A brief history of human sex. Hopefully this gives us a little bit more. Bruh, why does each one of these start off with birds do it, bees do it? And why am I still sweating? Like, I've been out the shower for like 20 minutes. Ridiculous. Alright, humans have basically been the same anatomically for about 100,000 years, so what is safe to say is that if we enjoy it now, then so did our cave-dwelling ancestors and everyone else since. Just as our bodies tell us we might like to eat or when we should go to sleep, they lay down for us our pattern of lust. Sex is always offered pleasure. Now we're getting somewhere. Sexuality has a lot to do with our biological framework, agreed Joanne Rogers, Director of Media Relations and lecturer at Johns Hopkins Medical Institutions. People, and indeed all animals, stop with the animals, are hardwired to seek out sex and continue to do so. I imagine that is evidence that people at least like sex, and even if they don't, they engage in it as biological imperative. I love sex. I'm not saying I do it every day, but I'm just saying I love it. And I guess the biological imperative is to have children. So you don't like sex, but you're having sex because you want to have children. I guess that's what they're trying to say right there. But if you don't, I think a lot, like, the people who don't enjoy sex are the people who have, like, people have issues like sex is very painful, or they can't, they're dry, it's rough, and it's, stuff like that. So those are typically the people I know that can't enjoy sex, is the ones that gives them some type of pain or something. But usually it's all good. It is nearly impossible to tell, however, whether people enjoy sex more 50 years ago or 50,000 years ago, said David Buss. Who cares? The evolution of desire, strategies of human mating. Okay. There's no way. I mean, that's probably all they did back in the caveman times. There is no reason to think that we do more now than in the past, although we are certainly more frank about it. To be sure, what people actually experience is always a mixture of biological and social conditioning, desires, surges from the body. The mind interprets what society will accept and what not, and the rest of the signals are edited out by culture. Interesting. Shut up. Something just start playing in my ears. No. No, don't do that again. Did I read that already? Yeah, I did. That's not to say that the cultural norms keeps people from exploring the taboo, but only what is admitted to openly. What is admitted to openly. The way they end their sentences are there's no period. It's just like the idea that there is a sexual line that must not be crossed, but in practice often is far older than the story of Eve's temptation by the serpent. And then it goes into modern advances. Religion, especially, has held powerful sway over the mind's attitude towards the body's carnal desires. Most sexual psychologists agree. Men and women who lived during the pious Middle Ages were certainly affected by the fear of sin. Short has said, though he notes there were other inhibiting factors to consider too. So that's true. I'm not sure. I know a few people with like African or Indian background who it's just like no sex coming. Don't even try it. You got to be married. It's like it's their culture and their background or the way their religion is. They can't. They just don't cross that line. So I've known some people like that, met some people like that. The low priority attached to sexual pleasure by people who lived in distant times is inexplicable unless one considers the hindrance that existed in those days. He points especially to the 1,000 years of misery and disease, often accompanied by some very unsexy smells and itching that led up to the Industrial Revolution. After the mid-19th centuries, these hindrances started to be removed and the great surge towards pleasure begins. That part where he says it was accompanied by some very unsexy smells and itching. What do you talking about? You itching your stuff? Sounds rough. It said many historians and psychologists see the late 1800s as a kind of watershed period for sexuality in the Western world, with the Industrial Revolution pushing more and more people together. Literally, in dense, culturally mixed neighborhoods, attitudes towards sex became more liberal. The liberalization of sexuality kicked into high gear by the 1960s with the advent of birth control pill, letting women get in on the fun, and act on the basis of desire as men always had. The 1960s vastly accelerated this unhesitant willingness to grab sex for the sheer sake of physical pleasure. So we're starting to get somewhere. 1960s, the birth control was making its way, was pushing through. Women was like, well, shoot. I was being careful because I didn't want to have a baby. Now that I know that I won't have a baby, I'm about to bust it open. I'm about to break it down on him. I'm about to have his toes like this. But it says global variations. But despite the modern tendencies towards sexual freedom, even today there are vast differences in attitudes across the world. There's something about U.S. We a bunch of freaks, and I would say, that's not true. I mean, there's sexual freedom because like the Muslims and stuff, they dress head to toe and all that type of stuff. So I guess the freedom to like go out and look the way you want, or show skin. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, there are very different. There are very different cultures and attitudes for sure. Cultures vary tremendously in how early they start having sex, how open they are about it, and how many sexual partners they have. Noting that Swedes generally have many partners in their lifetime, and the Chinese typically have few. An informal 2005 global sex survey sponsored by the condom company Durex confirmed Buss's views. Just 3% of Americans polled called their sex lives monotonous, compared to the sizable 26% of Indian respondents, while 53% of Norwegians wanted more sex than they were having. Sound like me. Maybe it's just a Scorpio. I love sex. Sex addict. Sorry, no. Or am I playing? Or am I serious? It's like, nah, let's get back to the get back to the show. 81% of the Portuguese were quite happy with their national quota of 108 times per year. They have a national quota? Like, hold up. Let me think about this. They have a national quota of how many times you're supposed to have sex a year. 108 out of 365 isn't too bad. It's almost a third. But like, how would you got to tally it? Like, you got a little calendar, you just twice today, half of one yesterday. Like, what? That's weird. A quota. Wow. Though poll numbers and surveys offer an interesting window into the sex lives of strangers, they're still constrained by the unwillingness of people to open up about the part of their lives that's usually kept behind closed doors. And what if we weren't bound by such social limitations? It'll probably be even worse. It's already savage now. Could you imagine if there was no limitations to what people would? I mean, it already is like that now, so it would just be horrible. Bonobos, what does bonobos have sex most of the time? A fairly quick, perfunctory, and relaxed activity that functions as a social cement. But for cultural constraints, we would all behave more like bonobos. In physical terms, there is actually nothing that bonobos do that some humans do not sometimes do. I might just go out on a limb and just look up what a bonobo is. And it better not be an animal. An animal. A bonobo. What is that? What is this? It's like a store. A bonobo is commonly considered to be more gracile than the common chimpanzee, although large male chimpanzees can exceed any. So yeah, there's the comparison to animals again, which I personally don't like that. So, all right, so we're gonna leave that. So thank you, Live Science. Much better than the other two I had up there that wasn't telling me a damn thing. We're gonna look into female promiscuity, because obviously that had to change over the years where now women are taking charge of their sexuality and their, you know. So let's see. Promiscuity tends to be frowned upon by many societies, expecting most members to have committed long-term relationships with single partners. Most societies have historically been more critical of women's promiscuity than of heterosexual men's. Among women as well as men, inclination of sex outside committed relationships is correlated with a high libido. But evolutionary biology as well as social and cultural factors have also been observed observed to influence sexual behavior and opinion. So And they try to go to cause. The cause studies have related socio-sexual orientation and sex drive, especially in women. With a higher the sex drive, the less restricted the social sexual orientation or interest in sex outside committed relationships. Nevertheless, pertaining to the nature and nurture debate, there is some data emphasizing cultural factors more so for women than men. One review assessed that social sexuality was affected almost equally by heredity and environment unshared with sibling artists. Siblings. That's like I'm about to take these shows. I can't hear myself. I gotta take an ear off or something. Shared environment had slow down. Relatively little effect. Men tend to have higher social sexual scores and be more unrestricted than women across a variety of cultures. However, there is more variability in scores within each gender than between men and women, indicating that although the average man is less restricted than the average woman, individuals may vary in social and sexual orientations regardless of gender. And if you're asking what is social sexual, it is the individual difference in the willingness to engage in sexual activity outside of a committed relationship. Individuals who are more restricted sociosexually are less willing to engage in casual sex. So, and there's I just seen there's an orientation specifically for like they can only have sex with a person if they have feelings for them. I forgot what they call. They keep putting all these names on orientations. I forgot what it's called, but I had just seen it. I wrote it down somewhere. So then they say psychology, body esteem in women showed a significant positive correlation with social sexual unrestrictedness. So did hip to waist ratio and two measures of virilization. Finally, still in the same study, alcohol consumption correlated too, but it's unclear whether the latter promoted the former or vice versa, or if a third variable was at play. Bisexual women tend to be less restricted in their social sexual attitudes than both homo and heterosexual women. And social sexual behavior, also bisexual women reported being more unrestricted, followed by homo and then heterosexual women. So, social power has been popularly associated with sexual infidelity among men. Experimental psychologists have linked power with sexual infidelity among women also. A Dutch study involving a large survey of 1,500 professionals concluded the relationships between power and infidelity was the same for women as for men, and for the same reason. These findings suggest that common assumption that women are less likely than men to engage in infidelity, at least partially a reflection of traditional gender-based differences in power that exist in society. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. So, a 2010 study published in Journal of Marriage and Family found that there was a correlation between female premarital promiscuity and higher rates of divorce. The research conducted by Jay Teachman found that women with 16 or more sexual partners prior to marriage had a 80% rate of subsequent divorce. Well, looks like a lot of our population gonna be divorced. Stop it. You know you got more than 16. I know you do. Uh-oh. There we go. Here we go. Here's a little connection from the last episode. Men and women leading polyandrous lifestyles have higher levels of testosterone. However, it is unclear whether higher levels of testosterone cause increased sex drive, and in turn multiple partners, or whether sexual activity with multiple partners causes the increase in testosterone. Social sexuality in women is positively correlated with two measurements of prenatal exposure to androgens, right, digit ratio and scores on the Vandenberg mental rotation test. What? I'm trying to talk about sex. We're breaking it down. Provided some limited support to the viril, V-I-R, virilization hypothesis of female promiscuity. Blah, blah, blah. Libido is correlated with the menstrual cycle, so that many women experience an increase in sexual desire several days immediately before ovulation. Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, some women get fired up. They can tell when their ovulation and stuff. Hold up. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense too. They be real horny right before they about to ovulate. Testosterone levels rise gradually from about the 24th day of a woman's menstrual cycle until ovulation on about the 14th day of the next cycle. During the high testosterone period before ovulation, a woman typically feels more attracted to masculine facial features and is more likely to pursue short-term mating. Let me grow me a beard or something. Need to rough it up. Big beard. She like masculine facial features, huh? I walk around my face all, hey, what's up? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm masculine. Real masculine. You see this masculine jaw? Masculine cheekbones here? Okay? You see this masculine eyebrow arches? Alright? It's masculine. Let's see. I see some about 27 to 45. And it is common for sex drive to diminish dramatically after menopause. A number of studies, including Alfred Kinsey's. Oh, they got help. How dare they use his name? Oh, is that the Alfred Kinsey who was doing? Yeah, this the guy that was. We'll talk about Alfred Kinsey. Look Alfred Kinsey up. Look him up. Alfred Kinsey, Kinsey. Well, I'll do one on him, but look up Alfred Kinsey. Matter of fact, let me open this. You're not going nowhere. Open a new link. Keep Alfred right there. A number of studies included Alfred Kinsey. If I'm not mistaken, Alfred Kinsey is the guy who was doing sexual studies on babies to see if you can arouse children. And there are studies in his book that was saying that he and his doctors or people were masturbating children, babies, for hours to see if they could be erect and have and how young does the sexual when you start having sexual drive and stuff. Read into Alfred Kinsey, and they have the nerve to put his damn name on here. Have concluded that the average age group in which women are the most active sexually is in their mid-30s. One study liberally estimating 27 to 45 as the limits of age group. The average man peaks earlier. Yeah, I think they said we was at 30. What was it? 30 something. Women in this age group typically report having sexual fantasies greater in number and intensity. Well, fantasize about me. Where was I? I just got to talk about myself and I totally forgot. All right. Engaging in sexual activity more frequently and being more interested in casual sex. One study of sexual antagonism suggested a positive genetic link between female androphilic. What? I know how to say it, but there's something about my mouth. I think it's because my tooth, yo, and it still hurts. It still hurts, by the way. Female androphilic, thank you, promiscuity, and male androphilia. What is androphilic? Androphilia are terms used in behavioral science to describe sexual orientation as an alternate to a gender binary homosexual and heterosexual conceptualization. Androphilia describes sexual attraction to men or masculinity. Genophilia describes sexual attraction. Hold up, and then I need the rest. Sexual attraction to women or femininity. Okay. I don't like saying words I don't know what it means. Hold on one second, guys. tribal women exhibited a correlation between reproductive output and the likeliness of having androphilic grandsons, though not nephews. All right, now we're getting into stuff I don't really know. I don't care. Pathologically overactivity of the doper. Come on, guys. I mean, how scientific are we about to get with this conversation? Dopaminergic mesolimbic pathway in the brain. I don't know what you're talking about. Forming either psychiatric dormania or okay, yeah, I don't like that. So evolution. Bateman's principle implies that females are choosy because there is little evolutionary advantage for them to mate with multiple males. However, observation of many species from rabbits, why do they keep? We are the top of the food chain. They aren't. Stop comparing us to damn animals. From rabbits to fruit flies has shown that females have more offspring if they mate with a larger number of males. This seemingly contradicts Bateman's theory, specifically his conclusion that white males had more children the more partners they mated with. Females did not. Exceptions to Bateman's principle abound, as do hypotheses explaining the evolution of female promiscuity. Females, in fact, have a lot to gain depending on the species. What does that mean? White males had more children the more partners they mated with. Females did not. Oh, okay. So he's just, but he didn't say white females. He just said females. So I don't know if he's. So this here, I will call her Theory Load, found possible evolutionary explanations for polyandry relating to sexual conflict, including mate competition. Okay, it was mate competition and inbreeding avoidance. The following list is incomplete, but here are a couple of the what am I calling this? Here's the list. It is easier to ensure reproductive success. Females may be encouraging sperm competition between males post-copulation. Multiple sperm lines may confer more variation in traits to female offspring. In groups of eusocial taxa, such as beehives, a single female or caste produces offspring while the other organisms cooperate in caring for the young. Bees from the different sperm. I'm tired of y'all skipping the animals. Females may receive food offerings from prospective mates inciting copulation. I think they're still talking about animals. I think they're still talking about animals. Moving down. So I think it's this one is society and culture. And I want to get to the nitty gritty. I want to get hold up. So they got some statistics. Hold on, here they go using Alfred Kinsey again. So in a 1994 study in the United States, almost all married heterosexual women reported having sexual contact only with their husbands. Do it now. Guarantee that shit. Oh, I guess they are going to keep going up. Okay, so 94, almost all married women. And unmarried women almost always reported having no more than one sexual partner in the past 3 months. When was this? 94? Shit. Lesbians who had a long-term partner reported having fewer outside partners than heterosexual women. More recent research, however, contradicts the assertion that heterosexual women are largely monogamous. 2002 study estimates that 45 to 55% of married heterosexual women engage in sexual relationships outside of their marriage. That's 2002. That's 18 years ago. Can you imagine now? Sheesh. For all of you that's married and doing it, keep doing it. While the estimates for heterosexual males in the same study were greater, 50 to 60% that indicates that a significant portion of married heterosexual women have or have had sexual partners other than their spouse as well. One international study found women to be more variable than men in their sex drive. International measurements of promiscuity are inconsistent from study to study. So then that means I don't care what you have to say. Moving on. Okay, so here they go. They're talking about the whole New Zealand thing again. So hold up, let me read this because there's numbers. To further complicate matters, a well-known study in the general sociosexuality that surveyed 14,059 people across 48 countries placed New Zealand, which came right before Slovenia, second to Finland, the United States, and the unisex score of the same study came in 22nd. But what were they scoring? In a non-scientific study conducted by the condom-making company Durex, which I said on the last show, British women reported fewer partners than British men, while the only country where women reported more sex partners than the men was New Zealand. Oh, okay. Get what you're saying. Yeah, the women in the United States, they trying to catch up. Hey, I don't know, why does my camera do that? Stop. I'm trying to focus. Just focus. I'm here, right here. Stop going in and out. We're here. Cool. They got terminology. Okay, so as y'all say, see also call girl, cuckoldry, palandry, slut. Literally, so see also slut. I'm just going to click on that because slut is generally a term for a woman or girl who is considered to have loose sexual morals and who is sexually promiscuous. It is usually used as an insult, sexual slur, or offensive term of disparagement. Slut shaming. Body shaming? No, slut shaming. You didn't fuck 15 people this month alone, slut. It's like, no. It originally meant a dirty, slovenly woman and is rarely used to refer to men, generally requiring clarification by the use of the terms male slut or man whore. Just thought, let's look up cuckoldry. I would really want to know, where did the cuckold thing come from? I don't get it. A cuckold is the husband of an adulterous wife. The wife of an adulterous husband is a cuck queen. In the evolutionary biology, a cuckold is a male which unwittingly invests parental effort in juveniles that are not genetically his offspring. So what's the history of the term? The word cuckold derives from cuck, a weak or servile man, and the cuckoo bird, alluding to its habit of laying its eggs in other birds' nests. Okay, so cuck, an abbreviation of cuckold. The term cuck has been used by the alt-right to attack the masculinity of an opponent. Where did that even come from, cuckolding? Unlike the traditional definition of the term in fetish usage, a cuckold wife watching is complicit in their partner's sexual infidelity. The wife who enjoys cuckolding her husband is called a cuckoldress. If the man is more submissive, if a couple can keep the fantasy in the bedroom or come to an agreement where being cuckold in reality does not damage the relationship, they might try it out in reality. However, the primary proponent of the fantasy is almost always the one being humiliated, or the cuckold. The cuckold convinces his lover to participate in the fantasy for them through other cuckolds. May prefer their lover to initiate the situation instead. The fetish fantasy does not work at all if the cuckold is being humiliated against their will. That's another thing. sex like why do people like being humiliated during sex? Like I know y'all have seen, well, uh, if you have seen, it'll be like the cuckold one, where the be this white guy and the girl is sitting there laughing at his male organ, like that little that little thing. And look at this ginormous, and standing beside him is this big black burly guy, and he's standing there just packed up, and she's standing there holding. And look at this, and look at this, smack him in his face, and then just be going to work and looking at him laughing. Look at. I'd be like, yo, I don't get where that comes from, but y'all weird. You cucks. Yo, weird cucks. Let's go back before I go, because what I'm really about to get into has the porn industry influenced the change. Has to. It's the only thing that makes sense. The term fallen woman was used to describe a woman who has lost her innocence and fallen from the grace of God. In Victorian Britain, especially, the meaning came to be closely associated with the loss or surrender of a woman's chastity. Its use was an expression of the belief that to be socially and morally acceptable, a woman's sexuality and experience should be entirely restricted to marriage, and that she should also be under the supervision and care of an authoritative man. Which is not true. They are showing in 1815, so that's what I'm saying. Does porn really make that much of a difference? In 1815, French satire on cuckoldry, which shows both men and women wearing horns. I don't know what that is supposed to show, but if they was doing cuckoldry in 1815, then we're late to the party. I'm really laughing at the slut thing, though. That is funny. And they got the female sexuality. So they got female promiscuity. Oh my God. Promiscuity. Jesus. Ugh. Moving forward. So let's see what this says. Evolution of sex. Why is there sex? Because it's good. Because you make kids. Don't ask rhetorical questions. Oh yeah, we're going to probably just skip this. He's talking about some binary cell fusion, reduction, division, and nope, I don't want to do that. The central problems with sex and recombination mix up any coadaptation that a genotype might have a particular environment. Why disturb this if it is adaptive? 2, there is a cause of meiosis. Oh, so he thinks I'm about to sit here and read this extreme breakdown of science. No. All right, this one here. Oh, I like this. The history of fellatio. If y'all don't know what fellatio is, oral sex. I was trying to think of the best way to say that. All right. Fellatio. Ooh. Did you see the... Did you see it? According to recent press reports, Americans are having oral sex at alarming young ages. That is true. And with increasingly nonchalance. Oral sex precedes and often replaces sexual intercourse because it's perceived to be non-committal, quick, and safe. For some kids, it's a cool thing to do. For others, it's a cheap thrill, raised in a culture in which speed is valued. Kids, not surprisingly, seek instant gratification through oral sex. The girl, by instantly pleasing the boy by sitting back and enjoying the ride. A seemingly, command over the sexual landscape of one partner is achieved without the encumbrances of clothes, coitus, and the rest of the messy business. The blowjob is, in essence, the new joystick of teen sexuality. Well, okay, let's keep going. In short, and this is salon.com, just throwing it out there. In short, if we are to believe today's sociologists and culture mavens, oral sex has become ordinary. Has it? Well, become ordinary for me. But the increased banality of the blowjob is perplexing. The banality. Good Lord. That just sounds like it got real. The banality of which I gave you this fellatio. When I was a teenager and the bad taste, oh, I thought she was saying it was bad tasting. I said, dang, girl, you should have told me to take a shower with some Dove. Manscaped them balls, baby. Disco flame. Let's go back. When I was a teenager and the bad taste disco fangled. Disco fangled? Is that fangled a word? Disco fangled 70s. Fellatio was something you graduated into. It probably was hard to get some cheeks back in the day. Like, it probably was hard. You up in the club, got your big old bush. Hey, sugar mama. Come here, girl. Let me tell you a little something. Trying to take you home tonight. You know what I'm saying? Hold up. This is my part. Earth on fire. I feel like busting loose. Busting loose. Give me the beat, yeah. But like I was saying, girl, trying to take you to the house and get some fellatio. Did you smack me? Let's graduate. Rooted in the great American sport of baseball. What? So y'all got the neck from the baseball? Let's read. Now, see, this is what I like. I like information I didn't know. The sexual metaphors of my generation put fellatio somewhere after home base. Oh, I get it. The base thing. Okay. You know, I never really understand the first base, second base, third base. I thought fourth was just making it home was having the sex. First base is like what? Breast touch? One was kiss, two breast touch, three rub the vagina. I don't know. Four, you make it home, you hit the whole. Somebody explain to me what the first base, second base, third, fourth. Maybe it'll tell me here, but I never know what it was. I made it to second base. You did? How you get thrown out? Okay, rooted in the great American sport of baseball, the sexual metaphors of my generation put fellatio somewhere after home base. Way off in the distant plains of the outfield, in fact, skipping all the bases and going directly to fellatio was sort of the home run reserved only for the racy borderline delinquents who enjoyed a host of forbidden activities that made them stars in the firmament of teen recklessness. Can I be honest with you all? I was a teenager too. I was young. Was I a teenager? Might have been slip. Never mind. I was young. And you know what? You probably look at this like, oh, for real, you terrible. No, it wasn't my fault. It's my cousin's fault. You know who you were. It was y'all two fault. It was two of y'all, specifically, who would always be sleeping with some chicks or showing porn or watching porn, and me as a kid sitting with y'all and seeing this, I'm like, what is that? What is she doing? And then you explain. And then it's like, well, how do I get that? So, anyways, wow. This must be a woman writing this. It's a woman writing this. These are not my words. The first blowjob I ever gave, that's her. She said that. After methodically groping my way past all these bases, was on act of faith. After finally figuring out how to manually manage my boyfriend's strange vestigial organ, did she just call this man's penis a strange vestigial organ? What does a strange vestigial organ look like? What is it? Like, shaped like a Q and is purple and pink or something? Like, what is a vestigial organ? How to brandish, manipulate, and handle its distended, tumescent pink love shaft. I now had the daunting task of having to figure out how to manage it orally. Lick, suck, use your hands. If only the how-to books that exist today existed back then. Oh yeah. This, yo, this show's wild. Hold up, bruh. Pause. Once again, these are not my words. Put both hands in the L around the base of the shaft. Says sex tips for straight women, for gay men. For women from gay men. Okay. I thought it was like from women for gay men. I was sitting here like, what? I'm confused. Okay. Lick her words. Lick the whole tip. Not a piece. Don't get around the side. Whole tip. And then use your tongue, not mine, your tongue, to lick up and down the sides. You know what, ladies? I'm gonna be honest with you. That shit sucks. The nerves are in the head. All the that's cute. It's cute, but can we get come back around top, please? Thank you. I mean, all the make it. Hold up, make it. That's fine. That's cool. Hit the both sides, all that. But let me just tell you. Everything is in the top. So just hit that top. Get a little ball rubbage on the back, on the bottom of that. Oh, you got to do like, oh. Anyways. Okay. So then she said, lick up and down the sides, covering your teeth with your lips. Oh, wow. And keeping your mouth taut. T-A-U-T. Taut. Glide the head inside. Just glide it in. Like just glide the head inside and lick the sensitive spot underneath with both the tip and flat part of your tongue. What's the sensitive side underneath? Spot underneath? Under where? Covering your teeth with your lips and keeping your mouth taut. Glide the head inside and lick the sensitive spot underneath. You put the head inside, and underneath is just the shaft, unless maybe his stuff ain't got too much length. So then the balls are right there. So it's like wood balls. I'm confused. Maybe this is the strange vestigial organ that she was talking about. Okay. Lick the sensitive spot underneath with both the tips and flat part of your tongue. Proceed down the shaft as far as you can go in one fell swoop. And on it goes. It includes tips on curiosities like dick whipping, hummers, and tinglers, plus advice on how to breathe. What is dick whipping? Like, are you taking the dick and you whipping? Or is she like got a belt holding you just like, I told you, keep it hard, because I want some more. That's crazy. Dick whipping. Hummers? Like you put your bitches through on your balls like, or what was the Joe in the movie? Somebody said you just put it on or something like that. Is that what they talking about? Tinglers. What are tinglers? See, all of these things make me nervous. Because all of these sound weird. Except dick whipping. But how are you whipping? What is dick whipping? I'm going to leave this up. I already was going to do a part 2 for the polygamy, because I had some other stuff that popped up last night I saw. But I might do a second part to this. Dick whipping. And hummers and tinglers. And teaching people how to breathe through the nose. That's all I've heard. You can't breathe out your mouth when you got something in your mouth. You got to breathe through the nose. All right. Sorry. Many men may fear the carnivorous tunnel that leads to the premarital soup of the womb, but women risk death by gagging. I like that this woman is very open. I do appreciate her greatly for that. You know, it's very interesting, you know, how sex is kind of like taking over the world. Clearly, even the most rigorous bouts of coitus pales. Coitus is sex, and rigorous means so rough sex. Clearly, even the most rough sex of pales in comparison with the intimacy of fellatio. Lord, you know, they're both really good. You know, it's like the microwave oven thing. They always you food in the oven or you want it in the mic. You want the mic. Look, I want the microwave and then the oven. Okay, it's not like I need one and then the other. I need them both. Yeah, I'm making the sides in the oven, but the main course is in the oven. I mean, in the microwave. I'm putting the sides in the microwave real quick. It's quick, make it fast. But that whole chicken breast, yeah, that's in the oven. Cause I'm gonna need time for that. But for this quick food, oh, it's going in the microwave, bang, 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 and then we get to the real good stuff afterwards. Anyways, all right. With the intimacy of fellatio, at least for the ones giving it, I mean, men, don't be selfish. Give your girl some of that back. You know, if you don't know what you're doing, just go down there and have fun. Write your name with your tongue. I've written a book. Okay. Nesting one's face in the musty, doughy pelt of your partner's loins. Jesus Christ. Bringing the full force of your tongue, lips, teeth, indeed your entire face to the bear on the swollen supplicant shaft, coaxing the salty swell of seed-bearing spermatoza burgeoning from deep within the vulnerable fuzz-lace scrotum, and finally partaking in the ultimate exchange of bodily fluids. Good Lord. She knew how to break that down. All of this is far more complex than the simple act of coitus, where the key fits in the ignition and things more or less just happen. Fellatio is hard labor. In the sense of the word, in every sense of the word. It is not hard labor. It is not hard labor, okay? Just knock it out. Just think of Tootsie Roll Pop. How many licks does it take to get to the center? But you can't bite it. Everybody, I want a two, none of that. Don't you, Perhaps it's true that attitudes towards fellatio had changed. The infamous stain left on Monica Lewinsky's dress. Wow. Was there really a stain on her dress? I need to look it up. As coveted and totemic as it has become in the context of America's most famous blowjob. You remember Superhead? She had my man Mr. Margas on the fence. He was like, oh. To this day, Corinne Steffens, I don't care if you're 50, 60. Can you please give me, I just want 5 minutes, whatever that was. Just 5. And if you're, if you're like older or maybe losing some teeth or something, that probably would do me even more justice. Might get me out the way in 3 minutes. It's impossible to, you know what, I'm about to go personal. Let's get back to, it's not about me. It's about this. It's about trying to figure out why has sex evolved so much. I haven't even got to the good part yet. Okay, as coveted totemic as it has become in the context of America's most famous blowjob, suggests a sterile, trite, expedient. Hold up. Trite. Okay, moving on. Somebody said in a recent article, because some of this stuff I just don't want to be reading, stuff don't matter. In a recent article in the New York Times about teen sex, a source reported that kids had sex 50 or 60 times. It's like a good night kiss to them. Ooh, Kennedy, I kill you. I'll kill you. But generally, blips like empires and economic upheavals come and go as French. What? History of fellatio. As long as the penis has power to please, Fellatio is not likely to be bumped off the bestseller list of all-time favorite male joys anytime in the next millennium or two. Sidebar. Mine has the power to please. At maximum rate, actually. Very successful. Good job, my friend. Good job indeed. Oh, wow, hold up. A well-known French paleontologist by the name of Yves Coppens suggested that the famous Lucy, the first prehistoric woman, practiced a sort of paleo-fellatio. But the first clear, real traces of fellatio are from ancient Egypt. Many of the more stellar examples are in the British Museum, where we find the famous myth of Osiris and Iris, who was his sister. Yeah, Osiris was killed by his brother. I remember that. Cut off his dick and cut him into pieces. I read all of that. Sorry, that's me just talking out loud. Osiris was killed by his brother and cut into pieces. His sister Iris put the pieces together, but by chance a penis was missing. An artificial penis was made out of clay, and Iris blew. I read that, and I didn't even realize that's what it was saying. She blew life back into Osiris by sucking it. Goddamn Egyptians! I knew y'all was on something. Y'all talking about all that right there, all that. Yeah, you was over there. Okay, I got it. Now I get the whole. I get it now. I was topping. Yeah. Okay. As an aside. What is as and aside? What does that mean? Egyptian women were particularly well known for their sexual prowess. Egyptian women are also purported to be the first women to use makeup. Wouldn't be surprised by that. I never knew why. I guess it was a sign of royalty, because I still feel like colored women don't need makeup. You have color. And a lot of times makeup closes up your pores and your skin can't exfoliate, which is why when you take off the makeup, why your skin looks so dry. And like it hasn't been breathing, because you're blotting it. You're blotting your pores. So, just ladies in general, I think that, a little eyeshadows, that's cool, but the whole face, y'all don't need all that. You're a beautiful woman. Just be who you are, please. And it says, what about other ancient cultures like China or India, where you have the Kama Sutra? Indeed, these are two other ancient cultures that ritualize fellatio. Ancient China was similar to India insofar as they were practically no sexual censures or taboos. But in India, where we find the Kama Sutra, it has been basically reduced to a sexual manual, but in fact, it's a tome. It's a tome dedicated to the art of loving. An entire chapter in the Kama Sutra is devoted to an act called Parishtaka, otherwise known as oral congress. Oral congress. Oral congress involved I was about to say a congress is like, isn't that like a bunch of people? That's what I was about to say. I was gonna be funny. I was gonna leave it alone, and then they told the joke for me. Involved 8 highly descriptive and semi-codified ways of performing fellatio. Oh, no. It's not people. It's 8 ways of doing it. Highly descriptive. I'm gonna have to look this up. We're going to look up this our Parishtaka. I need to know these 8 ways. Y'all need to know these 8 ways, damn it. Performing fellatio. There are also detailed chapters on bites, scratches, and other aspect of the aesthetic of the body. A little scratching is cool, but when you like putting like blood dripping down my back, hey, look, you doing too much. Ancient Rome was a society of soldiers, of machos and rapists. Oh wow. And their perception of fellatio was interesting. The practice of fellatio in ancient Rome was perceived in terms of active and passive. The active one was, in fact, the person getting fellatio, in case we're talking about the soldier. The virile man, the passive one, usually a woman or slave, was the one given fellatio, or to understand it more clearly, the one receiving the penis. Who is... Today, of course, is the other way around. We perceive the ones who's given fellatio as the active one, the one receiving it as the passive one. But in Rome, to give fellatio was a passive act, a submissive act, for example. And this is very clear in the Roman text. To punish a person who stole potatoes from this field, a Roman might oblige the person to give him fellatio. He might stand up, drop his pants, and say, "Now you're going to kneel down and take it in your mouth." The one who was required to give fellatio was the passive one, the one who went against the valor of the virility. The Roman perception is interesting. Wow, okay. This is good. I actually like this. There's a lot of... It's still, I haven't gotten to the porn making, being a huge play in this, but for what the salon has, I like it. We again find some aspects of Roman idea in certain cultures that are slowly disappearing. For example, in New Guinea, there are initiation rituals for young people that involve practicing fellatio in adults and ingesting the sperm. Wow. Sperm, considered, of course, a vital, precious resource. These are not homosexual communities. On the contrary, the fellatio ritual is performed to make men acquire strong, active, macho values in society where women are totally submissive and dominated. See, that's why these people walking around thinking they can beat women up and do what they want. Y'all sitting there teaching them that women should be totally submissive and dominated. No, you're not going to dominate my kid. No, you're not. The Incas were the same. There are traces on their pottery that suggest that, damn, on the pottery, they just put on the pottery, they showing some girl sucking on some man. Damn, I need one of those in my room. In my dining room, put it on put it as a mantle. Like New Guinea, fellatio is practiced modeled on domination and power. Western European culture didn't necessarily. Oh wow, the Steelers are beating the crap out of the Bengals right now. Jesus. But there was, Western European culture didn't necessarily ritualize fellatio, but there was a time when it was much more openly libertine than today. France, the upper clergy lived accordingly to principles that were similar to Roman times. You had your chapel, your chateau, your wife, and then all your mistresses. The bishops lived this way as well. The population of 18th century Paris was 600,000, with 30,000 recorded prostitutes. That's enormous. They literally wrote that twice. That's enormous. And the Palisades, Royal, 50,000 little booklets from the 18th century were found. There were many directories of prostitutes and their specialties. One can assume that fellatio was a basic staple here. All right. Okay, so then I think I might just... All right, well. Because, church always plays a role in something. So, obviously, the church has played a significant role in condemning fellatio. As recent as 19th century, sexual pleasure and a relation that didn't lead directly to procreation, even with the structure of traditional marriage, were mortal sins. So fellatio was and remains to some extent a taboo. The only sexual activity sanctioned by the Catholic Church is coitus, for the strict purposes of procreation. In the 19th century, there was also a relationship between religion and medicine that came together under the general aegis of onanism. Onanism. In fact, everything fell under the aegis of onanism: fellatio, petting, lesbianism, masturbation. What is petting? Must be something sexual. There were priests who were also doctors, and many of them wrote lengthy descriptions of apocalyptic things that could happen to anyone who practiced any form of onanism. That's that fear shit again. That's similar to notions about circumcision back in the Victorian era in America. Doctors and religious officials associated the foreskin with masturbation, which was in turn. What? Is that really why they cut the foreskin? I mean, so you wouldn't have no extra skin to like move. Wow, which was in turn associated with horrific physical and mental aberrations. That's where we find the roots of systematic circumcision in America. There's not much difference here between the two cultures. Wow. Did y'all just learn something right there? We are getting our stuff cut, so we had no piece to grab. And wow, that is G. Let's see what else in here. You suggest in your book that this is why the Islamic veil covers the mouth. Of course, there's an immediate analogy right there in the word lips between the vagina and the mouth. That analogy has obviously been overexploited today. Fellatio sexualizes the mouth, makes the mouth a sexual organ in and of itself. There are, after all, few things more suggestive than a highly made up mouth. The Islamic veil can be criticized, but there's a logic behind it. What's being hidden is, in part, all that which is intimate. There's cultures that don't practice fellatio at all, but after those cultures, you suck. When did fellatio become an act unto itself? It's hard to say, but it's safe to assume that as a contemporary phenomenon, fellatio took center stage as an act unto itself when it began to figure prominently with X-rated films. Deep Throat and Linda Lovelace had to do a lot with making fellatio almost a cultural cliche. Who's Deep Throat and Linda Lovelace? Let's see. There's been some talk about teens in America having oral sex at increasingly young ages and with increasing casualness. This seems very much the opposite of how it's perceived in France, where fellatio is considered more intimate than lovemaking. To what do you attribute these particular cultural differences? We have to be careful not to generalize and stereotype here, but on some level, Monica Lewinsky has become a symbol for us. She performed fellatio, talked about it, made money off of it, and her people engage in superficial sex. They don't commit or engage themselves. It's not about lovemaking. In France, we're more Mediterranean. We don't take these things lightly. You'll never find a French Monica Lewinsky. She performed the most lucrative blowjob in the history of humanity. Well, I'm not really pressed to go to France now. Mom said your food wasn't that good anyway. So, all right. I want to get, because I know that. What? Let's read this real quick. There's also a big percentage reality difference between what figures in the poll tell us and what images tell us. Images in, for example, pornography. There are around 15 states in America that have criminalized fellatio, and yet America is by far the biggest producer of pornography on earth. Curious for a so-called Puritan country. Indeed, pornographic cinema is an American business. There's very little of it going on in Europe. America produces an astronomical quantity of pornographic material, and almost all of it invariably features fellatio. Yes, it does. And then, of course, somebody asks the question, are humans the only one that practice fellatio? And I can tell you, no, they're not. I've seen other animals do it, and I'm not about to sit there and read about it. So, I'm trying to get to the porn influence. That's what I'm trying to do. The top 10 most appealing sexual acts to U.S. adults. We're just going to read right through them real quick. We're going to go through the women's. U.S. women's top 10 very appealing sex acts. 70% vaginal intercourse, number 1. Number 2, cuddling more often, 63%. Number 3, kissing more often during sex. I like to kiss during sex, 49%. Number 4, saying sweet romantic things during sex, 47%. Number 5, give or receive massage before sex, 46%. Number 6, having gentle sex, 45%. Number 7, receiving oral sex, 43%. Number 8, watching a romantic movie, 42%. Number 9, making the room feel more romantic, 41%. Tim wearing sexy underwear, lingerie, 41%. That is what they say are the top 10 very appealing sex acts for U.S. women. And for the U.S. men's top 10 very appealing sex acts, okay. Number 1, vaginal intercourse is 73%. Number 2, receiving oral sex, 61%. Number 3, having sex more often, 58%. Number 4, watching partner undress, 46%. Number 5, kissing more often during sex, 43%. Number 6, having gentle sex, 42%. Number 7, cuddling more often, 42%. Number 8, giving oral sex, 41%. Number 9, having sex in other parts of the house, 38%. Number 10, having sex in a hotel room, 37%. And that is the top 10 very appealing sex acts for the men and women. Thank you, Forbes. Appreciate that. Let's see. 6 things you need to know about the history of blowjobs. And they have a picture of a woman very sexually licking a lollipop. The first documented blowjob resurrected an ancient Egyptian god. Listen, if you bringing people back to life, I need you close to me. When I die, I need you ready. Beep. He's gone. Wait. Open his pants. What are you doing? Just open it. Oh. And then it beep. Beep. And then he come back to life. I come back because of you. Thank you. Thank you. So whoever, I need Iris. Is there an Iris? 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 I need you. That's funny. Number 2, because we just read that. Pompeians were very sexual people. The Pompeii. Probably when they watched that huge orgasm the volcano was having, they probably was just getting turned on, like, and the lava shooting out. They was like, oh, you could just see the girl just rubbing herself to, it's such a huge shot. Pompeii is best known as the Italian city that drowned in molten lava when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, but the ancient city was actually a lot saucier than you think. Oh, they got a picture of her. I might have to save this. It looks like she is almost doing what the girl was trying to do to the dude on Borat. What's the dude at the end? She's like on top of him. Look like she's reaching down. He's like, I'm gonna try to add it into here. About 50 years ago, erotic fresco paintings were discovered in the baths of Pompeii, depicting lesbian sex, group sex, and lots of blowjobs. Historians believe that paintings were intended to get visitors who would need to go through the baths to get to the city center to the Pompeii state of mind, which was sexual or horny. There's even an extravagant 2-story brothel in Pompeii called the Lupanar that houses a quality, titillating erotic paintings, and rumor has it a prostitute named Meredith had a sign on her door that pointed out her specialty, blowjobs. I'm trying to read too fast. It's because I know I'm way over time, and I still have like 3 more to go through. So I'm just gonna shoot through it. Ancient Greeks loved blowjobs too. But this picture that they're showing looks like 2 guys, the Greeks. An entire chapter of the Kama Sutra is dedicated to oral sex. We just talked about that. And then, they actually have a picture. I might have to say, now, that's a weird way to give somebody some... I mean, and, y'all have to see this picture. Why is her vagina so long? She's literally like on her knees, but bent backwards, all the way back, holding around his thighs, giving him upside down head, but don't break her back. Blowjobs were a punishment in ancient Rome. Number 6, oral sex could get you executed in the 19th century. Thanks to certain church-going killjoys, any sexual act that didn't lead to your wife pooping out babies was a mortal sin, and that included oral sex. So if a woman got a little tipsy on some toilet hooch, booze was more or less frowned upon, and got caught giving a man a blowjob, it was off with her head. Aren't you glad those days are over? Yeah. Oh, and there's a painting of a man giving some woman some crucial head, like a little kid on some older woman. All right. Well, that's the 6. Awesome. Moving forward. Now we're getting to what I want to get to. Pornography's influence on sexual intimacy. Okay. Have you ever wondered how many couples use pornography to enhance their sexual relationship? I haven't seen too many statistics on the topic, so in my last blog, I included a question in the survey that asked about the frequency with which couples use pornography in their relationships. Survey results with 344 men, 33%, and 66% of women indicate that. Oh, so I guess. Okay, so it was 33% of the 344 was men, and 67% of the 344 was women. So 1.2 always use porn. 3.8 more often than not use porn. 19.2 occasionally use porn. 18.9 rarely use porn. 57% never use porn. While the statistic is interesting and brought up questions such as, for those who use pornography, does it influence the frequency of sexual intimacy in the relationship? What happens to the sexual intimacy in the 57% of relationships where porn is not used, but one of the parties is using porn solo? In order to answer these questions, 2 additional questions were included in the survey. The groups were divided by those who reported that pornography had not hurt their relationships, 45%, and those who felt that pornography had indeed hurt the relationship, 42%. The other 13% indicated that they neither agreed nor disagreed that porn had hurt the relationship. The first group of questions and results of the individuals who felt that pornography had not hurt the relationship are as follows. Before pornography became a part of your relationship, or your partner discover you were involved, how often were you sexually intimate? After question. Now that pornography has become a part of your relationship, or your partner discover you were involved, how often are you sexually intimate? Before, after, so it's going to be, I'm going to get a before number and after. So 18%, 18%, nothing changed. This is before and this is after. All right, so before watching the porn, after watching the porn in a relationship. 18, that's daily. 45, 37, that's 2 to 3 times a week. 16 to 16, that's 1 time a week. 9, 8% every 2 weeks. 6 to 11% once a month. 5%, 3 to 4 times a year. 0, 1% once a year. 2, 5%, we stop having sex. The results from the sample of individuals indicates that in most of the relationships, pornography didn't increase the frequency, and in a few cases may have actually reduced the frequency. Yeah, because you're busting nuts. Like, takes your energy, be all tired after that. You 3 minutes in. Oh, I need a nap. And your girl coming there. Your girl come right in. 5 minutes later, after you didn't clean yourself up. Oh, baby, I'm trying to. And you like, I just shot that off. Here's another one. Before you discovered your partner was involved in pornography, or you started using porn in your relationship, how often were you sexually intimate? After question. Now that you've discovered your partner's involvement in porn, or you've been using porn in your relationship, how frequently do you have sex? Before, 19. After, 5% daily. Before, 48. After, 23%. 2 to 3 times a week. Before, 20. After, 22%. 1 time a week. Before, 4%. After, 14%. Every 2 weeks. Before, 5%. After, 12%. Once a month. Before, 3%. After, 9%. 3-4 times a year. Before, 1%. After, 1%. Once a year. Before 1. After 14%. We stop having sex. For this group, the discovery of pornography or using it in the relationship has significantly reduced the frequency of sexual intimacy. which will make sense, especially if your man or your woman is like, oh, well, you find them so attractive, then go ahead. Don't touch me. You never know. Some people are like that. These findings counter the argument that individuals who view pornography are doing so because of the lack of sexual intimacy in the relationship. In fact, results indicated that on average, these individuals engage in sex as much or more than the most couples in the United States, 2-3 times a week, according to statistics. It is also interesting to note the significant drop off from 20% of who reported having sex daily to only 5%. Finally, it's also interesting to note how many couples stop having sex completely. Initially, only 1% had stopped having sex, but once pornography entered the relationship, 14% stopped having sex. So these results demonstrate a clear division between individuals and couples who are using porn and are comfortable, and those who feel that pornography is hurting their relationship. There are many couples whose lives are dramatically altered because of pornography. Professional therapists, clergymen, and others who interact with these couples will benefit by understanding the difficulty and pain created when pornography enters a relationship and one partner is not comfortable with it. And unfortunately, far too many individuals and couples are being negatively influenced by pornography. And the reason why I wanted to look this up is because, like, sex is a beautiful thing. It's foreplay. You know, sometimes you get your chocolate syrup out, and your whipped creams, and your ice cubes, and your fruits, and your strawberries, and you do some fun stuff. You know, oral, both do it, you share 69, you have fun, sex, regular sex in the vagina. And then it was just this huge shoot up. Anal. Anal. You know, y'all found that the butt makes something in the butt just gets y'all just extra geeked up. Fine. That's fine. Okay. It's one thing. All right. Now, so how we go from, okay, I guess, anal, I'm not a fan, but cool. Then we go to, spitting in each other's mouths and eating men's butts and eating women's butts and what's some of the stuff up in here? Just completely ridiculous now. A man hitting in the vagina, another man hitting it in the butt, another guy getting, and people really be trying to do that in the real world. They don't leave it on television and video. They trying to do it here. If you're a man and you're kicking your leg straight up in the air, up like that, what you're doing is wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, if you like your butt being ate as a man, figure another way to put your leg to get in position. But the whole legs up in the air thing, that's what women do. And it's just like people see these things, and I personally think that a lot of people do a lot of this extreme sexual activities because they have to overcompensate for the things they don't have or don't know how to use. I spent a lot of time trying to understand women's bodies and what they like and what they want. I took time. I talked to people. I read. I watched videos of women messing with women. I did all that when I was a kid, when I was young, like as a teenager coming up. So now, older, I just I got that, and I just noticed how porn, it seems to me, that has taken over a lot of people. It's like I always say, it's like Inception. We watch these things, they're a form of programming. They create these thoughts in our mind that it's like Inception, that we basically put an idea in your head like you created it and make it like their own. It's like this. You sit here and watch this stuff over and over and over, and you get online and you see your favorite celebrity or some chick you like talking about the same stuff that you just watched. People, it influences them to kind of like shift and try stuff. I'm not trying it. Don't talk about pegging. What? Who you pegging? Not me. Who you talking about? I've asked do you know what pegging is? No, I don't. What is pegging? Oh, you take a little thing. You hit it. No. What? There's people that's letting you do that? Tell you, not your boy. Look, y'all gotta just stop. Just miss me. Okay? Just miss me. You can do what you want, whoever you want. Miss me. How pornography influences and harms sexual behavior. Let's see. I think it might be the same thing. Okay. According to your new research, in what ways is pornography affecting men and their views on sexuality? My research reveals the way in which pornography can come to dominate heterosexual men's sexual encounter with women. Pornography is generally thought of as solitary activity, yet our research shows the more frequent viewing of the pornography is associated with greater reliance on and preference for the pornographic script during the interpersonal sexual encounters. Our research shows among college-age heterosexual men, 51% masturbated to pornography several times a week. 19% use it several times a month. 13% use it daily. Men who watch more pornography deliberately conjure up pornographic images to maintain arousal during sex and preferred pornography over real-life sexual encounters. In other words, pornography is not mere fantasy for men. Instead, it shapes how they engage in intimate behaviors. Wow. So you're telling me they becoming less aroused by the real thing, and actually watching something on a video is all right. That is new information, and that is why I do this, to read and find out. And we sit here together. I don't know how long it is because people keep interrupting my damn video, so I gotta keep cutting it. But I see I probably made like 3 or 4 different videos. It's like 30 minutes long, so might be a little longer than the last one. But that's because I had more information on this one. Or at least I thought it did, so I started reading some of the stuff, and I was like, yo, this is not going well. They're talking about animals. In your view, is all pornography harmful? There are a myriad, health implications presented by the astronomical growth of internet pornography in the last decade. First and foremost are the challenges to the health and safety of men and women who produce pornography. Sexually transmitted diseases, alcohol and drug abuse, and violence are quite common among those in the industry. This should be a growing concern for college campuses as the production of pornography has become more dispersed, with college campuses being cultivated as new production localities. This is especially relevant given the heightened attention to Title IV violations on college campuses. The Virginia Department of Health recognizes cultural ideologies which support gender inequality as contributing factors to sexual violence. Pornography is a primary cultural tool for the reproduction of such ideologies. While research is not able to show casualty. Hold up, that's not casualty. I'm reading too fast. Slow down. While research is not able to show causality, maybe they wrote it wrong. K-U-C-U. Both wrong. C-A-U-S-A-L-I-T-Y. Is it supposed to be casualty? It's really throwing me off. Something no social science research can do. Because casual is C-A-S-U-A-L. I'm not tripping. Pornography is strongly correlated with factors widely recognized as contributors to sexual violence, including defining masculinity as embodied through violence, hostile attitudes towards women, and gender inequality. Furthermore, the average age of first exposure to pornography is around 12 years of age. That is damn near almost true. And the pornography that is the cheapest and easiest to access contains very high rates of violence against women and promotes degrading and dehumanizing forms of sexuality for boys. Boys and men are the majority of consumers of such pornography, making it the dominant sexual framework to which boys are socialized and to which girls as sexual partners must respond. Therefore, discussions both in high school and college are about sexual health and healthy relationships should include a dialogue about the consumption and use of pornography. One of the reasons why pornography is generally overlooked as a sexual health issue is the generation gap created by the internet pornography. The term pornography generally conjures up images of a pizza delivery guy arriving at the house of a sexually aroused housewife or girl next door. Big sausage pizza. That's what he's talking about. I remember that jump from back like 2000s. Big sausage pizza. They used to come to the house with the pizza. Oh yeah, it's $20. And she opened the pizza, and there's a wood on a cutout hole at the bottom, and his wood is sitting on there talking about it's a big sausage pizza. That junk used to be funny. I used to laugh. I almost want to do that myself. I might show up at your house. Who is it? Big Sausage Pizza. I ordered a pizza. Yeah, this pizza. Oh, that's a Big Sausage Pizza. That joint used to have me geeking. Where was I? Okay. However, the internet has significantly reshaped the content of pornography. Now that the most popular and easily accessible forms of pornography contain significant amounts of violence. Okay, I thought I could just read that. No, it's not. Degradation and humiliation of women are short and focused almost exclusively on genitalia. Many adults who are beyond the years of sexual development and exploration and who developed their sexual identities prior to the internet have not encountered the new sexual scripts. Internet pornography is inscribing on the sexual identities of younger people. Thus, there is a significant gap in how older and younger adults understand what constitutes pornography, which leaves older adults less prepared to help guys' sexual choices. I remember I met this one chick out in Annapolis, white girl, and she proceeded to start telling me that she, just talking about, I don't mind talking about sex. This is a regular conversation, So we're just talking. And somehow sex comes up, and she's telling me about the guy that she's dating, and how she likes it rough. I'm talking about like bruised. She was like, I want to almost be bleeding. That's how bad I want you spanking my butt till it turns purple. I was like, yo, that is not. I was trying to explain. That's not sex. Pain is sex is not supposed to be painful. It's supposed to be like, I mean, of course it could be a little bit of pain if the guy got some size on him, but not pain where it's like scratching to the blood. She talking about I want to scratch to the blood show on your back. What? You trying to scratch to the blood show? I don't know who you're dealing with, shawty, but he didn't taught you wrong. Does your research have implications for the larger society, particularly given the pervasiveness of internet pornography? Pornography is a global economic industry that produces a product with implications for human health and social well-being. The processes of production and consumption involve a global supply chain, which include connections to the human trafficking, child pornography, prostitution, drug, and other forms of global violence. It economically feeds mainstream businesses, including large hotel chains, cable companies, major technology companies, media production companies, and even Wall Street. Pornography is more than... Matter of fact, to stop real quick, my man had, a few years ago, he has a sex toy shop, and his business has shot... I remember sex toys and stuff has shot up like 800%, and he had caught that wave. Q. Shout out Q. I haven't seen Q in a few years. Pornography is more than a personal choice related to speech. Expression or sexuality is a global industry that trades on the bodies of men, women, and children for profit. I don't like the children stuff. It is the public face of a large network of a sexual exploitation, which deliberately recruits from foster home shelters, serving various desperate populations, and otherwise seeks out poor people from across the world, feed a supply chain with constant need for fresh bodies due to the level of physical punishment, degradation associated with the production of pornographic material. Wow. So they go to get people from foster homes. There's some beautiful people then that they find in these foster homes and shelters. I'm about to start looking. You trying to go home? Who trying to go home? Oh, she cute. She got green eyes. Come on. Do you support any of the public policy change regarding? Do you think it should be banned or limited? It's not going to be banned because it's business, and we know that money is always going to rule. Like I was trying to tell my man about the NBA season. When they said they were going to lose $500 million to $1 billion, you know they was going to play December 22nd. Money. This most recent article focusing on pornography's effects on men specifically has similar research have been conducted on its effects on women. Do you think pornography has a similar effect on women? The growth of online pornography as a mean of sexual expression is a complicated issue for women whose bodies have historically been rigidly controlled by restrictive sexual norms and practices. Online pornographic pornography, they're killing me. I keep switching back, keep throwing me off. Online pornography offers an accessible way to seemingly resist and challenge such restrictions. However, because online pornography is dominated by an industry with a common economic interest in the control of women's bodies, the sexual expressions offered by the pornography industry is produced through a supply chain built on the trade and disposal of other women's bodies for male pleasure and profit. The pornography industry does not emancipate women from restrictive sexual practices. Instead, it repackages sexual control as a commercial product and makes and markets it to women as a form of sexual choice. Thus, online pornography presents dissonant messages to women. Pornography is marketed to women as sexual empowerment, but the content is violent and dehumanizing, particularly to the women who are in the industry. Our next article, currently out for review, explores the cognitive dissonance. Women relates to women pornography. Results indicate that while majority of these women have seen pornography, 87%, most 52% reported no current consumption. Among those who did report current pornography use, consumption was associated with increased incorporation of reliance on pornographic. They're blowing me with the pornographic pornography. They keep bouncing back. Sexual scripts during dietic sexual encounters, as well as increased concerns over sexual performance and body image. We conclude pornographic scripts create a heuristic model of sexuality most women avoid, but among those who do engage with the script, the impact was very similar to that of men. So, I think I got one more. We'll see. And I'm going to just get my piece. The effects of pornography in modern society. Throughout history of mankind, people have been obsessed with sex, whether it be for love, for pleasure, for procreation. People are deeply fascinated with sex. It's no surprise then that humanity has sought to portray sex through various forms of art and media, from the naked statuettes of Venus of Willendorf found during the Ice Ages to the sexual depictions of Grecian and Roman art. Grecian, I guess. Grecian. It doesn't say Greek. It says Grecian. But when you say Roman art behind it, I would just take it as Greek. It might be some Greek. And since the conception of literature or sexuality through the Kama Sutra, the pornographic representation of sex have been prevalent, persistent, and constantly evolving since the dawn of time. See, I wasn't the only person. I knew this shit was evolving. It's evolving. Like a damn door just... Oh, no. That's revolving. Evolving. Fried. Today, due to advancements in technology, pornography has evolved in modern society alongside with the advent of the internet. As more and more people gradually become integrated with technology and connected to the internet, there is no doubt that the influence of pornography has reached them in one form or another. With this ease of access, the portrayal of sex through pornography has left the dark and seedy, smutty underground world and has made its way to the digital daylight of the public view, stirring up numerous controversies within the realms of morality, religion, politics, sociology, psychology, as well as personal, intimate relationships. Therefore, it is crucial to understand the full effects of pornography, positive and negative, that the internet pornography has on society, with which intertwines sex and technology. The biophysiological explanation as to why porn is appealing to men. Throughout the human evolution, a man's reproductive success depended on the number of women he inseminated. The more women he spread his seed to, the greater chance is the survival of the human species. According to Paul Wright, an assistant professor at Indiana University, who cares? A woman's physical appearance revealed clues to her reproductive health. Therefore, men have evolved to pursue women who are young, have busty breasts, curvy hips, plump butts, and have a inclination towards casual sex. Now, although there have been drastic changes to the modern environment, men's primal reproductive instincts have remained the same while adapting with the evolution of pornography. Hence, the pornography solves a primal problem for modern men: the simulation of sex with multiple partners without any risk of commitment, pregnancy, or disease. I'm going to skim through this. The effects of pornography in the brains of males reveals that when sexual stimuli or pornographic images is viewed by men, their mesolimbic reward system activates, producing a surge of dopamine, a feel-good chemical neurotransmitter that is released in the brain. Another powerful motivator that is part of the brain is called the mirror neuron system, which compels men to simulate the action they see others perform. According to a study conducted in 2008 by the neuroscience journal Neuroimage, men reported having a desire to replicate the sexual acts they saw after watching porn due to the mirror neuron system being activated. Furthermore, the study found that the stronger the mirror neuron response was to pornography, the harder their erections tended to be. When you're viewing, Struthers states, when you're viewing something sexual, the mirror neuron system enables you to vicariously experience it. Internet pornography is especially stimulating to the brain because you have the feeling of being engaged directly, which leads to him talking about point of view. There's an even specific genre of pornography that is shot solely through the perspective called POV. In 2007, Emory University study defined this revealed that when men watch porn, they imagine acting on the female porn star rather than saw it as a male actor performing with female actors on screen, removing the male actor from their minds completely. That is true. Similarly, when men were asked to combine verbs with sexually explicit images of provocative women, in the 2001 Princeton study, they would pair the verbs into first-person statements such as "I grab" or "I control." The study author Susan Fiske states that when looking at the bikini-clad women, these men were thinking, "I am acting on this person," rather than "she is acting," because men normally focus on actively performing sexual acts rather than passively receiving them. And then they get into the whole why people watch porn. Why we know, once again, why do men watch porn? The reason men have a strong neurological response to porn compared to women is because their erotic depictions align with men's sexual interests more. The sexual stimuli imitates casual sex which men desire without the retreat of commitment, unwanted pregnancy, or disease. I just read that somewhere. In our culture, we have a narrow understanding of intimacy as sexual intercourse, but it's bigger than that. It's really about people connecting with one another. In 2011, a British study revealed that men who view porn crave intimacy and closeness more than non-users, suggesting that porn isn't devoid or an escape from connection, but rather possibly quite the opposite. Struthers say people think porn is about sex. It's not. It's about intimacy. The guy who can't find a girlfriend and starts looking at porn is searching for intimacy. He hasn't found it. He's found an erotic payoff of orgasm. It's a counterfeit form of intimacy. Wow, that was deep. Never thought of it like that. Understandably, that although arousal is essential for sexual intimacy, it needs to be coupled with interpersonal connection as well. To clarify, Struthers says sexual intimacy has two components. One is sensual, the other one is contextual. Since intimacy for men begins with the sexual attraction, desire, and arousal, he pursues that first. Conversely, intimacy for women is contextual. In order to them to be intimate with a partner, they need to know who the guy is and what are the grounds of the relationship. As a couple becomes more involved, their definition of intimacy begins to align. The man values the context of his partner and values her as a girlfriend, where the woman allows herself to become more open sexually and erotically. ultimately it's when the two are enmeshed that you have a deep sexual intimate relationship. So while the women watch porn, we're almost done. I'm out, almost out of here. Unlike men, the reason why women use porn is entirely different. Women tend to use porn as a way to express and explore their sexuality. They use it to connect mentally with their sexual identity and their partners. Women's use of porn is more focused on the relational aspect rather than solely being about sexual stimulation. According to Anna Bridges, PhD, when women use explicit materials, they choose erotica. When men and women look at materials together, they tend to look at erotica. But when men look at materials alone, they look at pornography. Erotica, similar to porn, is sexual stimuli, but the difference between the two is that erotica depends on interpersonal connection, whereas pornography downplays the relational aspect. Before erotica and pornography were distinguished by erotica being separated from smutty, non-violent, non-degrading, and consensual sex. But now, according to Australian sex researchers, the primary distinguishing characteristic between the two is intimacy. The reason why 50 Shades of Grey has been dubbed mommy porn is because although it features elements of S&M, it is also about relationship, the core of what turns women on. Erotica appeals to women involved sexual drive and acquiring a committed partner or child rearing, whereas porn depicts casual sex with multiple partners, hence being more appealing to men. Well, hold up. We went through the relationships thing. I'm going to read these last two and then I'm going to wrap it up. Problematic use of pornography and the effects. Although pornography can be educational and exploratory when it comes to sex and relationships, it can be, because that's how I learned how to eat a girl out when I was like 16. I watched this black girl eating this white girl out, and she was talking to her the whole time. Like, do you like this? The girl was like, oh, yes. And then she was like, how about this? And she was like, oh, even better. It is when users use pornography as a coping mechanism for stress or other issues that pornography becomes problematic. They found that a third of men use porn to ease the boredom or stress, and a fifth turn to it when they're lonely. So the potential for becoming hooked is greater. For example, a person may use pornography to create a fantasy in order to overcome and recover from a traumatic event that may have left him feeling degraded. When there are secondary motives such as loneliness or stress, as opposed to the primary motives of sexual pleasure, these at-risk users tend to be associated with problematic use. And it says basically pornography and personal relationships. We read through that, but women are often distressed by men's porn use because they feel it's personal, that he must not think she's good enough, but it's almost never personal. Yep. That's pretty much what they think. All right. Well, I mean, what did we get here? What did we really learn here? We learned that sex is great. It's like, no. Learned a lot. I mean, porn does have an influence on how sex is perceived and performed. We went back to the origins of fellatio and oral. We just talked about sex in general and intercourse and female sexuality and the history and all that stuff. So ultimately, I come down with this. The evolution of sex is going to keep evolving. Porn is big business. Porn isn't stopping no time soon. But sex is like a beautiful thing. And a lot of the stuff that's going on is just it's not sexy. Spitting in somebody's mouth isn't sexy. Smacking her in the face, choking her and smacking her across the face, it isn't sexy. Putting your fist in somebody's ass, it's not sexy. Letting some woman put your legs in the air and lick your butt is not sexy. But what can we do? A lot of people have a lot of time, and there's a lot of porn. And there's nothing you can do about it. So it's a business. Porn is a business, and it's a thriving business. All I can say is that, use your own. You can watch porn for enjoyment and entertainment, but it doesn't always mean that that's what your partner wants. Some women like it rough. Some people like it slow. Just learn the woman that you're with, or the guy that you're with when you're with them. Learn them while you're with them. And, giving a little fellatio don't hurt nobody. And that's for both sides, man and woman. I'm not saying don't do it if you're a man and don't do it. No, do it if you're both. Get it in. It's a great thing. I love it, quite frankly. And we went. I think that's about it. We went and we figured this out. We spent a lot of time going through all this, and I appreciate y'all sitting and hanging with me. I tried to get real sexy for the occasion. I tried to get ready for my photo, my porn shoot. I was trying to get ready. I don't want y'all to be looking at my nipples. But yo, appreciate y'all. It's the Jefe Files, the evolution of sex. And give fellatio and smoke weed.